So you're going to press the two, well, maybe does the red button just do? When you press the red button, like he says, is that
Yeah.
the one? Okay. Now, really, we don't want it going towards the audience. We can, but I'm likely to not use that.
I need to just work out the zoom and that as well.
You got it?
I've got you, I'm just getting the focus and the zoom and all that right.
Hiya.
Right.
Yes, please. We will use this. It's going to be recorded. How are you, Mr. King?
Sorry, this is part of the raffle?
What is it? Yeah, I'll just put one in if we're charging a $5.
There's two, so
That one is for a money box. Sorry.
that's the one. This is for me to put money. Oh, right, because I was going to
That's what
say
you have.
yes.
Well, then I'll have to get a mix of it. Yeah.
But you know,
Because I paid for 8.
well, we've got 2 people. Right. Have you got,
I mean, I have the emails. I have never said about lapels in the first session, and then I thought, no, so I can't do that because you'll see how it works. We're up and down, we're down and down, so everyone would have to have a lapel, and I'll just break it.
Right, okay.
So whatever we have.
You've done it! See, I knew you were a tip.
Having known Paul for many years in my work, I'm looking forward to this piece of work because Paul doesn't stick to what's being said. And so he's going to talk a bit about what he's doing and then morning and I'll show.
Am I in the way?
I was thinking I was doing a mixture of people with personal experience and practitioners, and so maybe I should make it really simple. And I thought, well, it's not very simple. So I'm going to show you some of the complicated stuff, and I'm not going to apologise enormously for that. And the other thing is just to make it clear that the slides will be available as a PDF electronically if Megan is happy with that. Megan's happy with that. So you don't have to write everything down or take photos. They'll be available to you afterwards including some of the ones I go, whoosh, don't need that, because I will. Okay, so that's me. I recently moved from Bath, where I ran various things, including a highly specialist clinic, nationally based, which included hoarding. 2 weeks ago, we opened a national specialist clinic in my new place, Oxford, which will accept referrals from hoarding, NHS only, so just to that. Okay, I'm going to talk about the kind of research and what we know. Research is, science is a great thing, and it's really important to realise that science is a stage thing. So, in the first stage of science, we know nothing but believe we know everything. Okay, and that's been the case for a while. In the second stage, we know nothing and believe we know nothing. And that's quite a good place to be for a researcher. There are no further stages, and that is it. And that is true, it will always be true. We actually, it says, as soon as somebody tells you they have the answers, call them a liar, because they don't. Nobody's got the answers. Okay, and this is important because, in a sense, understanding is important to helping yourself or your loved ones and so on. So I'm going to suggest to you that understanding is key, but understanding is difficult. Okay, so I'm somebody who does a lot of psychological treatment and a lot of research. So let me tell you how psychological treatments work. And I think this is kind of roughly what we know. And we know that people suffer from distress, mood-related problems and so on, because they think that what's happening is more negative than it really is. That's kind of the key to understanding distress. Inappropriate distress, or, if you like, disorders, or whatever. What a treatment does, and it doesn't matter what kind of treatment it is it helps the person to consider an alternative, less negative way of thinking about what's happening to them. Because what happens when you have a problem like hoarding or obsessive compulsive disorder or panic or whatever it is you get stuck in a particular way of thinking and behaving. And it's about being stuck, unable to do anything else, however desperately you want to, that actually characterises the problem. And it's actually about helping people, rather than saying to somebody, hey, you're wrong because of what you think. And I say, no, I can see why you think what you think. But maybe there are other ways of thinking. Perhaps that's not another example. That actually, actually thinking about it differently, not saying, hey, I'm right because I'm a white-haired professor with a grey beard, but actually don't just trust me, actually you're going to find out what's really going on, which takes us to an alternative explanation. It's going to be helpful, it's got to meet a couple of things. It has to fit with the person's past experience. So if you tell me that I work too hard, which I'm told by a few people, because from a Freudian perspective, I wanted to kill my father and have sex with my mother. Half of that doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't fit with my experience. I'll let you work out which half it might be. and then we get into the not trust me, I'm a professor or a doctor or a savant or whatever. Don't trust anybody's claiming I'm the answer. Actually work with them to see if it's true. And in my view, this allows this whole thing of thinking more flexibly, also allows the person the option of changing their world. And it's about helping the person, good therapy is about two, and often more than two family members and so on, people working together to find out how the world really works. Not to think more positively or logically, but find out what is really going on. And it involves two experts, at least two experts. So Sakwant, he's working with you, is an expert in hoarding, but he's not the kind of expert that somebody with hoarding has. They are the experts in themselves. And if you go to therapy with the idea that you have something to take to it, that you have expertise in your life and your experience and what you're feeling and what you're doing, and that's acknowledged by the person you're working with, it will go well. It's not easy, but it will go well. Okay, so I was thinking before, when I was preparing this talk, why it is that hoarding has been left behind. Because in terms of our understanding of treatment, it has been left behind. I think, well, why have we done so well in something like panic? Yeah, panic is sort of one of the easiest problems to treat, although 30 years ago, we got one of the most difficult problems to treat. And it's because what we've done in research terms is identify a pattern of thinking that's characteristic of the problem. And this is a problem-specific problem. So in panic, we know that the way people interpret their body symptoms is absolutely key to understanding what's happening in panic and therefore treating it. And in OCD similarly. We then also have to link it to other factors which impacted the problem. So these are not specific things, but things like trauma. You know, basically, anything that's trauma, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to develop a mental health problem, but it will tend to amplify whatever else is going on. So, but it's not just trauma, it's neglect and abuse, and all the various things, loneliness, all the things that kind of can happen to people. And then these things, these factors are linked to other aspects of experience. So why have we not done this in hoarding? Because we've made leaps and bounds in other areas. Well, it's because hoarding is not like panic or OCD. We'll come back to that, but it's not actually like it. Yeah. So it's actually something called the final common pathway. In other words, you get to hoarding by lots of different routes. Yeah. There's lots of different things going on in different people, as opposed to panic disorder, where everybody with panic disorder is catastrophically misinterpreting their body sensations in a vicious circle, in a really rather simple way. The best comparison with hoarding would be panic attacks. So if you're a spider phobic, you'll have panic attacks. If you're a hoarder, you'll have panic attacks. If you're depressed, you'll have panic attacks. And if you know disorder, you'll have panic attacks in particular circumstances. Panic disorder we can understand in a particular way. Panic attacks are things which happen because of all kinds of different reasons. Hoarding, similarly. So, anxiety, we know, is to do with the perception of threat. And in panic, you've got catastrophic misinterpretation of body symptoms. In OCD, interpretations in terms of responsibility for harm. Depression, perception of loss. Hoarding, it looks different. It's having so much stuff that you can't live in your house. Or you can't use your bath because it's full of shoes or whatever. And it isn't like those other things. And we don't understand it. That is, essentially, they're going to invite people to give a talk about our understanding. I'm going to tell you that we don't understand. But boy, do we need to. Boy, do we need to. And I'll tell you. So, it's gone. Right. Like that. Ooh, it's gone. But we don't understand it. Okay, so let's think of this final common pathway. So what we got is we've got this thing that is best called clutter. I like the point about language. I think clutter is something that most people acknowledge is an issue. And it can happen because you're getting loads of stuff. It can happen not because you get loads of stuff, because nothing goes out, things come in and don't go out. But actually neither of those things define hoarding disorder. Unpleasant sort of way of thinking about it. But anyway, that's what it's to do with the organisation. We'll come back to that. And if it's disorganised clutter that impairs your life, then that's a problem. Yeah, so hoarding includes massive variation yet to be explained. This is the bit I thought was simplifying. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to simplify it because I think, I'm not showing you the panic vicious circle is like 3 bits goes around like it's so easy. This is the best guess we can make for what's happening in hoarding. Let me just simplify it a little bit for you though, because I think what's going on is, at the heart of it, is this idea of being a custodian of value. It's about value. So if we're looking for an interpretation in hoarding, it's about value, but in different ways. How do people get there? Well, we know that there are a lot of things which can trigger it, making vulnerable to it, like being made homeless, being a refugee. There was a whole wave after the Second World War, actually including my father, who was a minor hoarder, shall we say. And he had the experience at the age of 16 of going from being reasonably well-off farmer's boy to having nothing and then getting some stuff, and then having nothing and then moving to this country with nothing and so on. And that's a very common experience. And of course, right now we have a tidal wave in Europe of people, of really lovely people. They're not the demons that some of our politicians would know. There's lovely people coming in who have had everything and who now have nothing, and who've come to this country but not much to this country, come to other countries with nothing. And that, I think, is the kind of experience which is going to lead to a range of things, including boarding. We've also got early experience in things like the thing which psychologists call attachment, difficulties in terms of your relationships, your bonding with your loved ones. And sometimes, unfortunately for some people, there's more benefit to be had from the teddy bear your mother gave you than your mother. And that's a really terrible thing to say, but it also happens to be true for some people. And those kind of things, lead to general beliefs like only things to be relied on. And then we also got a whole set of things around the good stuff, around the fact that actually having stuff gives you a buzz, or it gives you comfort, gives you the sense of being looked after and so on. But then you've also got depression, loneliness bit, and so on, which I'm not going to dwell on, because so many of you will understand the misery of loneliness and what that might do to you. And then there's anxiety, and then there's memory, and the fact that things are associated with memories, good and bad, and so on. So more of this later, but I'm saying that is where we've got to, and that is why I'm going to talk about style compacting. Lots of different ways to get to having a house full of clutter. And if you don't understand that, it makes it very hard to actually help people, because one size does not fit all. One size sort of fits all with a little bit jiggling about with anxiety and so on, but not hoarding. And so that's bad news. Yeah. Okay, these are the DSM-5 criteria. I just want to draw your attention to the fact that it's all about, again, it's not about what people are feeling, it's about the house being rendered unfit to live in terms of it can't be used for it's the bath's full of shoes, the toilet is rammed with books and so on. And that is the thing that defines hoarding. It's not the thing that defines hoarding to the people who experience it. It's a very different set of thing. So, what about collectors? And again, there's a blending through, because many people with hoarding issues tell me they're collectors. And I'm going to give you a very simple answer to that. Which is, man on the left, collecting Coca-Cola receptacles, and can put his hand on the 1957 bottle, or whatever. That's the man on the right. Man on the left is not able to, it may well be a collection as far as it's not organised in any way. And somebody talked movingly about that this precious thing eaten by a mouse, because it was underneath there and so on. More of that in a minute. Collecting is not hoarding, you know that, but I'm just telling you that. In the slide there. Is it OCD? Well, yes, sometimes it is. Here's the funny thing, and I'm going to talk about this. It is sometimes OCD, sometimes it's not. But most often it's not. But out of this group of people, we actually have 39 out of, I can't count them, I can't remember, you have to add them up. Anyway, it's a subgroup. Now, we'll talk about why that is in a minute, because that's sort of good news that way, but it also is bad news because it turns out that even people with the great OCD, there's this thing we call a malignant interaction, which means that hoarding and OCD are a really nasty pincer movement on your well-being and so on. More of that in a minute. Okay, and OCD is not the commonest thing you see in hoarding. This is from Randy Frost's group. The most common thing that goes with hoarding is depression. But that's also true across the board with all the problems that we work with. With all anxiety disorders. It's really unusual to find somebody who's not made utterly miserable, other than the fact that their life is dominated by something they feel they don't have sufficient control of. But OCD, sitting down there, PTSD in there, but I think that underestimates the role of trauma, which is not the same as PTSD. Okay, it's common. We know, and it depends how you define it. We know that the average age for seeking treatment is 50. More of that in a minute. We know that it tends to be a miserable, lonely existence. It isn't always, but it tends to be a miserable, lonely existence. And someone, I won't say that, someone just said that they would like, they feel that they would like to have someone they love to come and visit their house before that person's too old to do so. And that tells you something about what is supposed to cut you off. You know it, but let me just remind you. Why is hoarding a problem? For some it's not. And let's be very clear, there are a group of people where it isn't, and it's not my business or your business to force people into it. But there are some caveats. It's complicated. Hoarding follows a chronic and deteriorating course, and just how chronic and deteriorating I'll show you in a minute. The accumulation of clutter is a dangerous problem. We'll talk more about risks. There are people in this room who know about those risks better than I, but I'm going to tell you about them. Social isolation. It's lovely to have a room full of people, many of whom will not actually have very much opportunity to be with other people. It's lovely that you're all here. But there's more that needs to be done so that you can reach out and people reach out to you. There's the eviction of the children. These happen. I've been involved in 2 legal cases recently where these issues have come up. That's in the last 3 months. High levels of family conflict and distress. And again, I was having a conversation earlier with somebody today who was talking about not just family, people to be cared for and so on. The ruptures that this problem can cause, the alienation, and the feelings of betrayal, or the feeling that you must betray for safety reasons and so on. Financial difficulties, and let's not underestimate that. Some people really struggle on this. Significant impairment in employment. Now let's be clear. Actually, it's greater than you get in anxiety and depression in terms of people's difficulty getting employed. It's about the same level as you get with so-called psychotic disorders. Fire. I saw somebody with a fire badge on. Is that gentleman somewhere? Anyway. London Fire Brigade, a couple of years ago I met with them, and they told me that 43% of the deaths in London from fire were hoarding related in that year. 43%. And there is, again, I'm not going to dwell on it, because people know more about it than I do. But the fire service is not interested in this, because they have no statutory ability to do with it, but they have ways of dealing with it. They have fantastic ways of dealing, which I think we might be doing about later. And it's just, again, my chapeau to the firefighters. Vermin property deterioration, and so on and so on. Quality of life. Whoa, not good. Right, here's somebody I saw about a year ago. And then the question, the quiz here is this a kitchen? Is this a kitchen? And you'll see there's a lot of food there. And yes, it's a kitchen. And you know it's a kitchen because of this. This is a gas ring that's being used to cook. And it's scorched. The plastic around it is scorched. Now the good news is the day after this, I was sent a Polaroid photograph of this surface, which was clear. Now, I don't know how Matt Self-Empower Davis, who worked with this person, managed it, but I do think that one of the important things was, and it's happening again now, that we became upset, genuinely upset when we saw this, because this was a couple of old people who we thought might die as a result of this, and we felt that was unbearable, which I think it is. And instead of keeping the professional demeanour, we both let it out. And then we discussed what they could do the next day. It was an emergency. They cleared this. I think less than. So we weren't as unhappy. I think, again, it's this thing, I mentioned this at the OCUK, the lovely people that I work with. Now, I don't want to be manipulative about this, because it wasn't that way, but I do think that tells us something about emotional engagement and about the importance of compassion. Both ways, actually. Interesting. Anyway, it's not a treatment. Oh, there we go. Just a little close-up to the scorching. Okay. Onset of hoarding. Hoarding is a problem, I already said, you kind of see it in people's 50s and so on. But early onset is common. I'll just how early I'll show you in a moment. There are differences in age of onset for the different components. That's getting the stuff, difficulty with hoarding, and it actually might be, given that some people start as children, it might be your mum who helps you control things when you're living at home. It might be your partner, your husband or your wife or a loved one or whatever, and so on. If that person dies, you've got the grief, and then you've got the person who actually held it in check, go on and so on. You know this. You know this. We know that if you're getting comfort from your possessions, the times of stress, including grief, but not confined to it, it's going to be worse. And hoarders are reporting a lot more traumatic life events than with most other problems. We also know that emotional deprivation is extremely prominent in some people. Not everybody. Some people have wonderful childhoods with no emotional deprivation. Some have emotional deprivation. Again, it's all these different things converging, and that's why I'm saying it's complicated. Trauma, trauma, trauma. Age of onset of hoarding symptoms. See, the biggest peak there is 11 to 15. It's not where we see people. And by God, it's where we should be seeing people, why we should be offering help. Because later on, now the good news is, in terms of treatment, if you're going to respond to treatment, it doesn't seem to matter how long you've had it, except the common stuff. Yeah. But still, there's this thing about people missing a piece of their lives, and that's what that's shown. That's what so why do people hoard? Or more importantly, why don't they stop hoarding? Because we all hoard, actually. There's that Japanese word, it doesn't hoard, does she? Only if it brings her joy. When we watched the video of the thing, the joy was clear. I mean, the joy was easy. Yeah, so that doesn't work. What's her name?
Marie Kondo.
Marie Kondo, okay. Doesn't work. I didn't say that. Don't tweet it. Okay, so those of you who don't have a hoarding issue, I want you to get if you have a smartphone, I want you to get it out for a minute. Okay. Why do any of us have stuff? Possessions allow the owner to accomplish something. Instrumental value, it's useful. Yeah, it's tools to perform tasks. Possessions provide a sense of security and comfort. You're surrounded by this stuff, why not? And it's not hoarding, this is everybody. And possessions become part of the individual's sense of self, their social identity, their personal identity, and so on. They also help to maintain an identity by preserving your personal history. Right, those of you who haven't got a CD, mobile phone, open your photographs. Go back 12 photographs and then delete it. Do not hesitate, just delete it. 12 photographs back. You immediately get the sense, just 12 photographs, just delete it. For God's sake, delete it. Show a good example. It's not easy, is it? Oh, it's not at all to kill yourself. Okay, so maybe it's possible to understand from the ground up what happens when people are hoarding. That's just a little tiny thing, not hoarding, but it's something about why what we're doing, the things that belong to us. Now, again, some of you will have rationalizations. Like somebody said to me, and I couldn't do that, said, oh yeah, but that was a picture of a really dear friend who just had a baby. It's her and a baby. I said, fine. How many pictures did you take? A long pause. Hundreds. So what about that one? Is it good? Is it a particularly good one? Well, no. And so on. Okay, enough of that. Oh. So, hoarding is a final common pathway. It's the end result of a range of different patterns of thinking and behaving, or behaviours which in turn are underpinned by a lot of different types of thinking. And it's that what I'm going to focus on now. Pretty much anything we've ordered, I'm not going into details, but anything from shit to money. And well, there's a similarity, isn't there? So, okay, so talk about 3 pathways to hoarding. Okay, there are and there are more than 3, but I'm going to talk about 3 main ones, and they're not exclusive. People have more than one. Okay, harm avoidance, idea of needing to prevent harm coming to themselves or others. Objects are required and kept because to not do so might result in harm to the person or other people. Something bad will happen if I throw this away, it'll be my fault. That's OCD, guys. That is OCD. That type of hoarding is OCD. It does really well with OCD treatment. If that's the main thing you're doing, then OCD treatment is the way to go. It's only a minority, but we should be separating it out. She tells me 10 minutes, so I'm going to go on. Okay. Okay, sentimental links. I can't think of a better word. It's not a good word, sentimental. But it's like basically the emotional significance of an object. The idea that an object would be hurt. You know, and again, some mental health professionals, sounds mad, doesn't it? You know, this person, well, this thing will suffer. You know, this object will suffer. And people say that and they're not mad. But some mental health professionals think they're mad because how could a cup suffer and so on. But actually, this is deep-rooted, I think, in terms of issues of early childhood experiences and so on. To lose, yeah, okay. Okay, I've lost my other one. Okay, okay, the other one was, I've just gone too fast, but never mind. The other one was the previous experience of deprivation, the refugee issue, because of the divorcee or the bankruptcy and so on, and then you knew what it was like to be without. And again, I can remember both my parents saying we'd have been grateful that this is the war, to make do and amend and so on, which may not be quite so good now. Okay, so this is half the research. We've actually done a series of research studies and we're still going on. But we basically looked at just people's beliefs about objects when they're thinking about throwing them away. So this will cause someone harm unless I keep it with this kind of OCD one. Fear of material deprivation. I have to have this if there's even a slight chance I'll need it, and that goes with material deprivation. Third one, to throw this away would be cruel to the object. And that's the thing that some people think is mad and I don't. If I get rid of this item, it's like abandoning someone I love, which might even be an object which is associated with that and so on. So, what we did was we looked at people with OCD, people with hoarding only, people who don't have either hoarding or OCD, and people who have both, which was actually the biggest group in terms of there being someone. Okay, and harm avoidance is there particularly in all three groups. It's actually harm avoidance seems to be there across the board. Okay, and then deprivation ideas there, particularly in the hoarding groups, the people with or without OCD, disturbed attachment in both hoarding groups, not so much in your OCD group. If you have both hoarding and OCD, it's the highest of everything. That's the malignant interaction, which we're really interested in trying to unpack. We haven't unpacked it yet. We've got some work going on at the moment to do that, and I might have an answer about 6 months for that. Just to give you a flavour of the kind of things. Now, basically, people with hoarding are showing all of the things that we're picking up. It's not just compliance to that. So we can't be overly simplistic. It's not a group of hoarders who do this and a group who do that. These are things that are happening to people in a complicated way. Therapy's outcomes, bad news. Drugs don't work. That's bad news. Drugs don't work. They make you fat and sleepy, but they don't actually. And if you're impotent, but they don't really help. Yeah, if you do get improvements, it's tiny. Okay. CBT, as it's presently done in the American model, it's okay. It's give you a little bit. It's only give you a little bit, and it's really not enduring. And so present CBT, which focuses on a fairly prescriptive approach, is not doing well. That's why we need to develop a better understanding, rather than we don't panic and OCD, of what it is that underpins this stuff. So basically, we're not doing well. More bad news. A few bits about treatment. Okay, here's what you do in treatment. Assessment, engagement, especially emotional engagement. And one of the things which I've felt whenever I've assessed someone with hoarding is that it's very hard indeed for them to trust me.
not because of anything. I think something about, again, it's complicated, isn't it? But issues of shame, and also people's past experience of essentially having people scream at them, their neighbours or the social services or the housing. And I'm not criticising these people, but people have the experience of being treated horribly. And so why should they trust a white-haired professor with a grey beard? And I get that. And so you can't just assume because of who you are, whatever you are, that you'll get respect. You have to offer the compassion that then means that maybe you'll be allowed mutual respect. It's about mutual respect. Yeah. I've got to respect you in order for you to respect me. And why not? Okay. I think we need to identify these beliefs, and that's the version of treatment we're working on now. Identifying the beliefs that are motivating it. And they're individual. I've taught them in general classes, but they're not. They're unique experiences that people have linked to unique traumas or experiences or whatever. And we need a formulation, like that horrible formulation at the beginning, which tells you everything that could be in there. And I didn't simplify. You do simplify it when you work with people, because you don't need everything in, because everything isn't in. It's individualised and it's in the person's own language. And we need to make clear what the goals are, because it's really important. My goal might be to have you living in a Marie Kondo house, but I don't think that's right, actually. Anyway, working with key maintaining factors. Trauma work usually required. Not everybody, that's fine, no trauma. Helping the person with attachment issues, past and present. Start with a shared understanding. Reacquisition, it's been mentioned. My God, what's the point in clearing somebody's house if you haven't dealt with the acquisition issue? And that's always drug stuff. You want to pick up on that, because if you can turn the tap off, then you get into the sink. Okay. Shifting stuff. Generally, it's slow, but we occasionally use the plague of locust approach. And that's when there's a crisis, there's an eviction, or there's care proceedings or whatever. And in those circumstances, people will agree to plague of locust, but it's not my preferred way of working. Okay, working in the person's home. It's, essentially, when people tell me that they're going to set somebody in their office, I just laugh. Why don't you do that? Okay. And then just a simple thing, the pickup text. Is it okay if I pick your glass up? I'm not going to do it. Absolutely not going to do it. First class permission. Now I'm not going to do it, but I want to imagine that I'm taking this away and throwing it in a bin somewhere you're going to find it. And usually, when the panic attack subsides, the person can then tell me what was going through their mind. Okay, simple, straightforward, but done respectfully. So can I pick this up, please? And make it absolutely clear that you're respecting the person's rules in their home, and so on. Consider risk issues. And again, that was, in a sense, I'll give you one very good example of involving a big fat tear rolling down my cheek. I had more examples where it didn't matter what I did, the risk continued. And again, that's something we really want to deal with. Okay, and then the slides are there, but there's a few sort of ideas about what things like, sometimes working in the office, if it's too difficult to work at home, bring one of your boxes, and in the office and go through it, and then actually try to work out what's underpinning it, so practice thing. Just making sense of people's decision-making strategy. Decision-making was in the big diagram, and it's something that's rather important. Practice sorting at home. Sorting is quite important. Find new routines to replace old habits, because some hoarding is habit. You always do this. And again, then just saying, stop it, that doesn't work. However, say, well, what else could you do? That might be helpful. So, there's a few examples, and then reinforcing. That doesn't mean I give people smarties. It just means that you actually help people to spot what they're doing and how it might be beneficial and so on. And then relapse prevention. Right now, we're developing this stuff, we're doing research, we are offering treatment in the new clinic in Oxford. Currently no waiting list, but that's going to be every 2 weeks. So, getting quick, because there'll be a waiting list. And some of you have seen Jess Barton and Coffee, Jess, myself and others, we're essentially trying to build up a group of people who are prepared to be contacted, not necessarily to participate in the research we're doing, but prepared to be contacted if we are doing some research. We also, in terms of designing the clinic, how we work and the research itself, it's also very helpful to have the input of people that we call people with personal experience or experts with my experience, and we're keen to hear from people who might be interested in that too. So, in conclusion, what am I going to say? What I'm going to say is what I said at the beginning, which is that science proceeds in stages, and at this point we don't know nearly enough. Yeah. But I also think that it's really important that people like me, people involved in research and treatments and so on, that we share with you and we get your views and that you're part of this. Nothing about you without you. Because the real experts are the people in this room, not me, not even the lovely Sam, or even the lovely Megan. No, it's just and it's this massive pool of differences that's important. And one of the things that people have often talked about is motivation. I've still not met an unmotivated boarder. I've met boarders who did not know how on earth to deal with things. That is the universe, not universe, it's a really complex thing. But when a clinician says, well, the problem is you're not motivated, on that happy note, I'm a clinician. Oh, there's one lady who didn't kick off. No, it's okay, no, you run things, Megan. I wouldn't dare to do that.
So, actually, we'll go there.
Hello, I'm a hoarder. One of the questions I'd like to ask you is...
I'm sorry, I'm going to correct you, not a hoarder. What's your name?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, I'm Teresa.
Teresa, what's Teresa? There's got a problem with hoarding. I mean, that's Teresa. I am hoarder. Lovely to meet you. Thank you very much for asking a question. Please go ahead.
Okay, one of the questions is, have you, when you work with people, do you work with their families? And what I mean is what I see as the harmful family, who will say it'll be valuable one day. Where's my present I gave you last Christmas? So you have to hold on to these things. Or they've come through the war as refugees with nothing, and my sister always goes on about that chair that came all the way through Poland, India, Turkey, Persia, Rhodesia, Morgan, and down to Birmingham.
Like my dad's really, yeah. That was mine.
Yeah. So what emphasis do you put on?
Okay,
harmful families?
We do this thing called flexible family involvement, and it's reasonably down to you. If I was working with you, down to you what's involved in the family. I would also be down to them, but first to you. So it's not we must involve the family. It's flexible, and it's a minefield. Yeah, go back to wartime stuff. It's a minefield, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't be clearing your minds and opening lines of communication. It's really common to actually try to help people re-engage with people that they've lost touch with. It could be their children. So I've seen people who have not had any communication from their children because of their hoarding problem, because of the hoarding circumstances like that, and so on. And then people can be encouraged and supported in remaking contact. So it's a bit like the rest of hoarding. There's no simple answer. But absolutely yes, working with loved ones, or even hated ones, which is kind of where we're into, and so on, and helping people to make contact, to work with. Again, if I was working with somebody, they were saying things like, well, my mum and dad are always asking where the Christmas presents are, and I'm going to want to deal with that if I can. But I also don't want to go into my big boots, so it might be then working on a family-wide basis. But there's no simple formula, I'm afraid. But yes, we should work flexibly that way. Thank you. Thank you, Teresa, who just happens to have good
Yes.
Yeah. You're not going to say you're a hoarder, are you?
First of all, I'd like to thank you for probably the most illuminating set of information on the course of the body I've ever heard. One problem that I see for the people in the room and your talk is that the work, the expertise has to come from top down. In the current economic climes, as we hear said every day, this is going to be massively expensive and the authorities will do everything possible to avoid it. So at the same time as developing a top-down approach, I think it's absolutely critical that we develop a bottom-up approach. You referred pretty much at the end of your talk to expert by experience. I'm involved in the Recovery College within Birmingham, where I work on a mind what read program, not as a dietitian, but as an eater. And in doing so, I reinforce my own attitudes towards my eating. I will make it my business to go to the Recovery College in Birmingham, and I know there are more around the country, and if you don't know of them, please Google them, have a look at them. And suggest,
has one.
and strongly suggest that we look at hoarding as another aspect to put into the next prospectus. Now, what's going to happen is they're going to say, we don't have any experts within hoarding. Now, I'd be happy to go on as an expert by experience, but as far as an equivalent of a dietitian,
You have Heather. You're in Birmingham?
I apologise profusely, Heather.
Yeah, no, I think the point stands in terms of,
But in terms of
there's a limit to how much Heather could personally do to cover Birmingham, right?
There is a recovery college course that's been developed specifically by a hoarder for hoarders in Brighton, for example. So
That's
that
great.
would be a-
Okay,
information sharing.
Could I
Thank you
address
very much.
Could I address? Thank you for those really kind comments. And I kind of beware of experts, sort of thing. Beware of top-down experts, which is one of the things I'm saying, because some of them are fans. Yeah, some of my colleagues are useless. I'm not saying I'm not useless, and for some people I probably am useless actually, you know, because well, for various understandable reasons. What we need is something more complex. I'm here at Hoarding UK because it's not just because Megan is a silvery-tongued devil. I'm here because of this thing about the experts in the room, and actually it's about empowering people. And actually we're not doing too bad. I mean, mental health, apparently this seems nonsense. That's not happening. But there are initiatives. So at the moment I'm being asked to write the training curriculum for IAT in hoarding. So IAT is going to start to look at hoarding. So I'm being asked, and Southampton might well be consulting you about this. We haven't got very much time to do that, so we've got that. But then we also need things like mentors, and I think that there are multiple ways of doing this. There's more than one way of skinning a cat, in the same way there's more than one way of developing a hoarding issue, and so on. So I think we need to think creatively around that, because
I don't think any one of us, honestly, on stage consider ourselves experts. But the thing is, the reason I said Heather is because there's really very few people who have as much experience and understanding. So if we don't lock people into, oh, they have to be clinically qualified, they have to be this, then we can actually get better results if we use the experience.
And we need to be sharing the experience as well.
Who's got mics? I'm going to go to, I don't know what table that is, but 25.
21.
21, so table 21, please, and table 22, and the table with no number. Because you're sitting behind the
Table with no number. Oh, it's creepy.
Hi, I'm Catherine Badon.
Hi, Catherine.
I'm a hoarder.
In addition.
I've picked up the research project, but I don't feel I can actually answer it. I'm not sure I can say, 5 childhood experiences that you feel impacted on. I can't answer that.
No. Actually, and again, this is just a preliminary thing. If people might be interested, we can explain further. There's also a whole range of other projects that we're doing. So we're just trying to reach out to people who might be interested in that and other things. But have a word with Jess. Jess, where are you? Jess is at the back there. She'll explain a bit more to you what she's planning to do, but we're also doing other things as well. So we're really, I'm greedy to do a lot of research, and let's be clear, I don't make a profit out of it. Yeah, it's because I really think that we need to know more, and I think you need to know more too. So one of the things that is key is also feeding it back into. So, okay, I think we have to follow this sequence. Otherwise, Megan will be cross. Yeah.
Considering the concept of top down, can everybody stand up and come to our groups, please?
Sorry?
Anybody come to our groups, stand up.
If you
Hands
want.
up if you come to
If
the
you
group.
choose.
Hands up. Right. That's how you do it. Did we wait for somebody to start this? We've got Heather, got them going. That's how you do it. Get yourself together, get organised yourself. You're waiting for top down. Hell's going to freeze over before the government. Get going, don't wait.
Either change. 22 is next, I believe. Was that right? So there's another question.
Good point.
Yeah, 22.
Hello,
That's weird.
Go ahead.
Go on.
Hello, my name's Sharon. I have a problem with hoarding, but I'm also a student social worker, so I see it from both sides. One of the points you mentioned on your presentation was about the biggest age group for hoarding to start being teenage years.
Yeah.
So how much work is being done? I'm actually working with teenagers at the moment on a placement, but in no relation to hoarding whatsoever. But is there actually any work being done with teenagers around this situation? Because is it a point of if we could look at it at that age, it wouldn't then manifest into what we have today?
The answer is no and yes.
Great.
So nobody's doing any work on this. Yes, it would be a really, really important thing to do. It's the thing we call secondary prevention, and it's really important. But right now, it's not happening.
We're just going to the back there. Sorry, I just want to get people who haven't asked a question yet, and then I'll come back if we have time.
I'm Alex Jackson. I was on the border next door with Alex from Leeds. I think I've also got OCD, but to throw a spanner in the works, I was also diagnosed with autism on the Asperger end of the spectrum. Where does that fit into the equation?
Oh, it fits in very well. I mean, we know that people on the autistic spectrum are much more vulnerable to a range of mental health problems, including OCD, depression, other anxiety problems. Hoarding has been reported, but it's never been systematically looked at in this context. I'm pretty sure that it's in there as well. Again, Jess, maybe we should look at that too. So it fits in because essentially, I think being on the autistic spectrum doesn't necessarily mean you have mental health problems. 60% of people don't. But it does make you more sensitive to it. So it's again another of these, in my horrible diagram, it's another thing we should probably add in. So yes, it makes sense. Basically, it makes life difficult, as I think you know all too well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, one more question. Can we go there? Just because I want to get people who haven't spoken. Sharon wants to speak, so that's fine. Can we go to Sharon, and then I'll go there, and those people ask 2 questions on this. We're then going into a completely open group discussion, so don't worry.
I just want to ask if we can have a copy of what's on the screen, because everybody was trying to...
Yes, that was Paul said.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
That was such an easy question. You'll get a PDF of all the slides, including the ones that I didn't speak to.
Just because of time. So yes, so we'll send those out. We have the participants list. So thank you for that. Sharon is here. I don't know what table. 21? Sharon's there.
Paging Sharon.
Good. Well, we'll do those 2. Then we're going to start on this category, and then we're just going to open it up. So don't worry.
Hello, I'm Elaine. I'm from Buckinghamshire. Hello.
Oh, right. Oh, you're Sharon. You're Elena. Hello.
I am. We run a support group in Buckinghamshire, and it's the only one within Buckinghamshire at the moment. It's the fire service and the local council. And we've sort of done it under our own steam, really, but not much support from people above us. But we're getting a steady flow of people coming to the support group, and also we now get professionals come along because they actually want to know about terminology to use around people who have hoarding behaviours. We are trying to raise a profile of this in our own county and trying to get through to like the CCG and things like that. We're finding it sort of difficult to know a pathway to go through, and I just wondered if you've got any ideas of how we might sort of...
Well, here I am, Oxford Health Mental Health Trust. We're close neighbours. I spend a fair bit of time at the Whiteleaf Centre, which you probably know, and I work with the people. So yeah, just make contact with myself and other people, and we'd be really happy to chip in and also help you speak. I at the moment report directly to the Chief Executive Officer of Health. That will change because because somebody has left and so on. But we have the ears of people, and they're very interested. Again, the Recovery College was mentioned. I cycled 85 miles yesterday together with Jess for Restore, which you're probably familiar with, local charity, and we're really strong supporters of Recovery College. So I think making those links, it gets back to that question of the gentleman over there, whose name I've already forgotten, about not just being top-down and actually developing networks and sharing expertise, not just top-down, and again, gentlemen here, lost it. And similar. So let's talk.
Great. Sharon, one more comment, but then we're going to actually, because I think what's happening is we're going into practice, we're going into things. And when we have a slide presentation which is right, saying that there is no answer and there's a lot missing, we also have to celebrate what is working. So Sharon, one more comment, and then we're going to look at some great practice in Wales that I've heard about, and we're just going to talk about what's working. So Sharon, one more.
Happy. First of all, I'm just going to say my comment is I could just get addicted to listening to you talk. My question actually comes not from myself, but from the dramaturgy department of the National Theatre in London. And it was this: do the children and grandchildren of survivors show a higher incidence of OCD and particularly hoarding and food-related compulsions?
The last bit, food-related compulsions, is a bit off left field, so I'm not sure whether that's correct. I don't think so. But in general, these things grow in families. That's not to say they're genetic. It just means that actually there's a slightly increased likelihood. Just to put it in context, there's a lot of talk about genetics, and it's a really popular thing, and it really blights people's lives, the idea that if they were to have children, their children would inherit this. Now, I don't think that's what happens. Most cases of hoarding and OCD are what we call sporadic, which means that they occur in the absence of first-degree relatives who have those problems. However, it is the case that you do learn things from your mum and dad. Philip Lark gave me that, didn't he? I'm not going to do that. If anyone wants to, I'll give you the reference. So yes, and I'm not a hoarder, I don't think, although I have those tendencies, because I can still hear my dad's voice saying we were grateful of that in the war. You can speak like that, by the way.
And this came directly as a thing of Holocaust survivors.
Yes.
That kind of stuff.
Okay, so in the context of Holocaust survivors, again, there's this thing about deprivation, of having lost everything and so on. But the idea it's passed on, I think it's very diluted. It's passed on this, and I don't think it's to do with genetics. I don't think I suppose genetically you might have ended up in concentration camps, but not for this reason, not for kind of hoarding type reasons. So yeah. So but just beware of the genetic explanations. They're massively overblown. And we also know that if you tell somebody your problem is genetic, it really doesn't help. It has quite the opposite effect, because it's genetic, what can I do? Yeah? And the answer is lots, even if it were genetic, which is, there's loads you can do. If you somebody with an intellectual disability, it's genetic, so we'll just leave them to rot in a learning disability hospital. Not at all. We know that with appropriate care and support, people can live fantastic lives, and are really important people in the community and so on. So yeah, right, I'm rambling. Okay.
That's it. Thank you very much. I think for me the thing that was most significant was the emotionality at the end of the day of everyone who attended. But we also said we're going to do things. I am not here to show you slides. None of us are. None of us have been doing this for over a decade to talk at. We want change. And so we thought it would be useful and bring hope to talk about some of the positive things that have happened for me directly as a result of the conference. So I'm going to just start with a quick statement that the absolute directive from 400 plus attendees was that we get more support groups. I had the good fortune to meet a genius named Michelle Bacherer, who has worked with me for the last year and has successfully brought in at least 4 pieces of funding that will help us to deliver on that project. So we are here, we will be going from June, starting to take this project out. The program is systemic, it's time managed, and we want to bring that change. So that came from that day. What else has happened? There's going to be hands up all over the room. Here's Alice, I promised you. So Heather wants to talk. Do we have a mic here?
I can't say, I'd like to think that it was a direct consequence of last year's conference, but I'm not sure. But I still want to share it. I've been contacting Birmingham Council for 10 years at least, and sort of being a bit of a thorn in their side in the nicest possible way. And this year they've come to me and said, we're totally changing how we do funding applications, we want small agencies to help, and yours was on the top of the list, and we're going to help you to make a funding application because we want you to get this. So, that to me is Oh, and I've got to say, Ruth has got something to say now that was a direct consequence of the conference. So I've got to see where you are. Where are you, Ruth? Somebody get a microphone to Ruth.
So I work for a housing association in Hampshire, and we wanted to raise the profile of hoarding within Hampshire, and we had quite specific ways we wanted to do that, along with other housing association colleagues that are here as well. So we started the Hampshire Hoarding Forum, and it's so popular now we actually have to limit the amount of people that come along from social services, from environmental health, from all the housing associations and from fire, because it's been so popular. We have a really core group of people that attend, and we had a really clear aim initially, which was to say, what is your priority as an organisation, and what resources do you have? Because if environmental health didn't turn up, everyone blamed them. So it was all their fault that the properties weren't cleared and that things weren't sorted. If social services didn't turn up, it was definitely all their fault that the property wasn't cleared and the person wasn't sorted. So we decided that we really needed to start with a no-blame approach to inviting people along, and so we had a really clear set of aims for the group, and that was looking about how we can get the most people to be aware of where they can get help. So we looked at the sort of places that we thought somebody that had no idea about hoarding would go to, and we decided it was GPs, CAB, local authority, so we've been working with them. We have a real focus on the responsibility of the language we use to support people. We've looked at training and shared training experiences with housing associations, fire, social services and everyone. We have a space with case studies to offer support for people, because sometimes it goes well and people can take the time, but sometimes, certainly in housing associations, it doesn't. And actually wanted to maintain that no-blame approach, because it's not fair to demonise somebody for doing their job, like we said earlier. And we focused massively on building relationships and making sure that those are maintained so that it propels itself, and that we bring feedback from those that we're working with as well to the group every time. So it's been really successful. We had lots of people say, oh, you'll never get social services along. You'll never, I don't care how friendly you are, Ruth, you'll never get environmental health to turn up. And they all turn up, and we have great working relationships, and it's been a hugely positive experience. So we don't just think of social services as money, and we don't just think of them as fixing the problem, and we don't just see environmental health as dealing with rats. We genuinely looked at what we did and brought our skills to the table and respected what our limitations were in a non-blame approach, and it's been really, really great. So thank you for your help all the way along.
People are introducing themselves. So when we go to lunch, which will be after this, we want more of that, because after lunch we're going to do a discussion about boundaries. So the tenancy enforcement officer, the environmental health officer, the person reporting behavior, all have different boundaries. How do we respect them all? But at lunch, can we talk and listen to each other, not necessarily who came with? Because the last workshop of the day, we want you to try to create a multidisciplinary team at a table. So I need housing, I need environmental health, I need fire, I need a person who boards, I need a family member. So you've got to talk to each other at the break, okay? So Trevellis, and then we're going to go outside. Who almost made me cry last night. They said, we didn't know what to do. We were looking for options. We came to your conference last year and it changed everything. It's meant the world to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Mariam. I manage a team called Steps within Trevellis. What you were saying is music to my ears, because hoarding has been an issue that Trevellis has been dealing with. For those of you who don't know about Trevellis, we come from South Wales and we cover the valleys of Rhondda and Taff. So the attitude within housing has always been to make the house clean and livable for somebody who's affected and safe, for a person who's affected by hoarding. And it just didn't feel right because people are attached to these belongings. So having come to the Hoarding UK conference, it has been just music to our ears. We split ourselves, so my team was sat here, so somebody went to the housing workshop, somebody went to, listen about the mental health, I went and listened safeguarding, we took notes, and we went back and we're absolutely determined. So one of the barriers that we've been dealing with within Wales is that we haven't got a Care Act. Safeguard, self-neglect is not actually a duty for local authority social services, so there isn't a clear pathway. But it just opened our eyes, and within that we established links to social services, and we've got a draft now of a self-neglect and hoarding guidance for frontline practitioners. It hasn't been rolled out, but we're able to show them the hoarding scale, for example, the rating and the good work that has been done in England. It's taken us a few months within the housing association itself to change mindsets. There's been a lot of debates. I mean, I'm not really a very strong debater, but my team are, wow. They really believe in something. There's been shouting across the table back and forth with neighbourhood managers and housing officers, and we had our health and safety officers coming and sitting down, and we drafted action plans. We were threatened, what if there was a house fire in a block of flats? Whatever you say is like an amber scale, and my fire ratings is a red scale because it's a risk for everyone in the block. And so huge arguments back and forth, and we agreed that, yeah, we're going to take full responsibility, but we have to take things very slowly with the person. We agreed our priorities to clear paths so that the person can self-evacuate. So we went through all of that. But yeah, we a year down the line, we established a project. So the word hoarding even has been offensive. People are not, within the value communities, we've got to understand as well why our communities hold. So things around poverty and keeping food, because there's been, the strikes and, the history of it. But it takes us a good 3 to 4 months to get through the door. Leanne has been supporting somebody standing with an umbrella in front of the door for 3 months because he's too embarrassed to let her through the door. But we just wouldn't go away, we would like to support people, and we have stopped a lot of eviction actions. So we've got a Magpie project that we have set up. And yeah, please come and talk to us. We've started a hoarding forum, so we gained some interest from other housing associations, and we're looking to expand it. If you have any tips for us, please come and talk to us.
Great. Julie, Naomi, did you want to speak? I don't know, I had you in my mind. No? Julie, we're going to we have a mic somewhere. I want people on the floor to Sue,
I took away last year. Believe it or not, my organisation didn't have a procedure at that time. We had a guidance, but it was being loosely followed by some. So I developed a procedure for us to follow. So that was my direct action. But also I want to say that the conference also raised hoarding I'm very proud that is continuing now on an annual basis, and I know that there are many of you, the majority of you, that are supporting that. So that's kind of the two things that I'm very happy to have come out of last year's conference.
Anything else sort of going on that's positive? I have done Jane wants to talk. Oh, sorry, I see someone there at table 6 after Jane.
The thing that I raised at the last conference was the absence of effective treatment. Thank you to Professor Koskis, I always have trouble putting your name, sorry, for a wonderful presentation on hoarding and treatment. The best I have seen in the 12 years I've been involved in this. Oh, I'm a hoarder, by the way. My name's Jane, I'm a hoarder. I have been involved in support groups. I think the reason hoarding treatment hasn't been effective is that there is a shortcut approach is used. I have heard the phrase, it doesn't matter what happened in the past, follow this clearing up plan and from now onwards. So thank you, Paul, but the presentation was brilliant.
Hello, me again. Emma Brute from the Isle of Welsh. The pilot we've been running has been in partnership with the University of South Wales Psychology Department, where students have been working alongside our neighbourhood officers and scheme managers, using a variety of motivational interviewing techniques to move from that evidence stage, so not recognising that there might be an issue, to actually understanding and wanting to make a change as well. It's been really, really successful. And to be fair, what we're trying to establish now is a local peer network as well, because the guys that we've been working with, the individuals, have been so the confidence that they've built through that pilot has been such that they want to share that and speak to other people that might be going through some of those challenges as well. But what I wanted to mention as well, Ruth, I'd be really keen to speak with you, if I may, during the break, was the recognition that my colleagues, other professionals, it's really emotional hearing stories, so intimate and so personal, and going home and how they deal with that, they're humans too. So what we've developed is reflective practice within our organisation as well, where my colleagues have the opportunity to get out of the day-to-day professional environment and actually make sense of what they're hearing and understand how they can respond to that themselves. So we've devised a support network internally, but also with our operatives as well, because obviously Housing Association, we have the asset management element as well. What they see as well, the relationships that they've built with individuals that we home. So we rolled out a series of training and hoarding awareness with them, because in most cases they're the first people that they see, an individual. So there's a few bits and bobs. We've got a research project going on with NHC students from university as well, looking further into the effects of motivational interviewing and hoarding behaviours. And like I said, we're trying to get this network together, so I'm really interested in speaking with Ruth.
Wales unites.
Yeah.
Hoarding UK's model is a student placement scheme, because we want to increase capacity and understanding on the ground. So, students who are studying in Greater London, please come join us. We're just going to go to your colleague behind, and then we'll go here. We're at table 21 again.
My name's Andrea, I come from Essex. Yeah, it took me a while. I'm a social work team manager, and I have emailed
Have I answered?
Yes, you have. I've been with social care for about 10 years. And as a social worker, I used mental health and I used to work with people who had hoarding difficulties. I initiated a hoarding MDT forum July last year. Thurrock is a bit different. I manage a team in Basildon. So it's the first one in our replicated the idea. And I brought together people from housing and environmental health and community care navigators, which are our voluntary, and our foreign community and mental health to some extent, and other partners. So we meet together every month, and we have an agenda, and we look at supporting adults and people with hoarding difficulties. And the next step is that we're looking at trying to get some funding to get a group of support workers to actually work alongside. Because what we don't want to do, and what I've seen, is people just having their possessions, you know, they go into care, they have their possessions taken away, they come back, people don't know why and understand why people get so distressed.
Yes.
So I don't like to keep using the word passionate, but I am passionate about making a difference. And from Essex, so there we go.
There we go.
Hi, my name is Tina, and I work with my colleague Angie for Helping Household Holders. Just want to share some positive news. We work with the Local Housing Association in Oxfordshire. They've now just secured our second year funding for our support group.
Yay.
What we're also looking to do is set up an additional support group in Oxford itself, because we sort of game play with multiple requests. But what I want to there is a disparity in the awareness, shall we say, of local authorities. So we work across a couple of counties. Oxfordshire seems to be leading the way quite significantly. And what I want to do is share some really good news from Oxfordshire. We work with a lot of clients, we get a lot of funding from social services. What they are now recognising is when we've got the property, or when the property is restored to an acceptable level that is safe for the client and, you know, satisfies the authorities, and I know we have to do that bit. They have now recognised that when we pull out, we create a void that nobody is monitoring. They are now providing funding for us to go in each month to keep an eye on the client, to keep in touch with them, and to make sure that they remain safe. So that's the positive I want to share.
14. 14. So 14 and 23 first, that's you on the left, on my left. And the other, first one.
I just wanted to share something that my sister and I
put the microphone.
I just wanted to share something that my sister and I are trying to do at the moment.
Good.
So hoarding started when myself and my sister were 8, and it's impacted our lives with our mum. It's impacted our lives, and it still impacts our lives. We can't talk about it to anybody because we'll out my mum and dad, and that was just like it was when we were at school. The bath was full of stuff, the washing machine broke, it never got fixed. We couldn't have any friends around, the house was just filled with more and more stuff. So as I say, my sister and I are here as family members today, and you know, it's only in the past 3 years or so I've stopped walking into rooms anywhere and seeing piles of papers and stuff everywhere. It's in, you know, that's just how it is. Currently, the quality of our family life is virtually non-existent. We all speak, but you know, we can't go around and visit. I personally, in my family, lost my mother-in-law. We lost my mother-in-law when my son was 9 weeks old. My son's got both his granddads, but he's now got one now. And he's been round a couple of times, but that was only when they got a second house after my grandma died, and the house was clear, so I could take my son round a couple of times. But then over time, that's filled up. So you know, he never goes round for tea. He's never had a sleepover. He never goes round to watch TV with them, or we never turn around just to drop in and have a cup of tea. So now they've got 2 houses, and we know that we have a big problem. So I just finished actually a master's degree in nutritional therapy, and I'm a biomedical scientist in my day job. My sister's a pharmacist, and
and we're trying to support my mum and dad at the moment, and we've recently looked more into my mum and dad's health, but more into my mum's health, and discovered really that the years of depression that she suffered from, which we say, in our experience, made the hoarding worse.
Yes.
That was also accompanied really by an underlying health condition that isn't tested for in the NHS, but functional health approach does. So, you know, the hoarding was already there, but the health made it exponentially worse. And as I say, that's in our lived experience.
Yeah.
I mean, it may have been like that anyway, it may have happened like that anyway, but my mum didn't and hasn't had the energy to recognise anything. You know, and I'm saying all this about mum's health in addition to my sister and I having experienced our own health conditions that really, because we're twins, it's happened anyway to both of us at the same time, but we look back and think, right, well, that happened to mum, and she was like that, and we've also done, because I can always, you know, get functional tests, we've done a look at things like that, and recognise things in her that could have been helped at the time. So we wonder if she had got the right help at the time. With a range, we know it's not one thing, but whether ours, my son's and our parents' lives would be different now. So we're trying to support them with nutrition, and we're trying to find different ways to help them. You know, we're currently trying to sort out the overgrown garden in the house, and I'm not talking just overgrown, that it is like a forest.
I know what it looks like.
We're trying to sort that out.
So, I mean, is it a question about would things have been different if we had more understanding?
Sorry, say that again.
Is the question, would things be different if we had more understanding?
Well, I think that's just like my little story, really.
Yeah.
You know,
ask people
because to me, we're saying to ourselves, if my mum's health was a focus, and eating, as has been mentioned as well, would that have helped her not go so badly into this energy sucked depression that she was in? Because it was depression, but I don't think it was fully depression.
Yeah.
And she just did not have any energy. And
family members, you know, do you think it's any better on the ground in terms of like, so now there's more awareness? Do you think that awareness is helping the people that you love?